preparing. Okay, I think we are live. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining our 17th Color Bowl Spotlight. My name is Mia Jung, and I work for UW-Madison Division of Extension. I focus on economic development work, and I specifically work with the Color Bowl Association as they serve business owners of color, who is also my focus audience, and have the honor to be leading the Color Bowl Spotlight that's been going on since September of 2020. And I have the pleasure of introducing to you today, Yao and Orson. Yao Asare is the founder of Gold Coast Candy LLC and the maker of Share's Ghana-style brittle, and Share was his childhood nickname. From a young age, he always had an intense love of peanut brittle or nakati cake, as they call it in his home country, Ghana, in West Africa. Over the last 2 years, Yao and his business partner, Orson Fournillier, AKA the Brittle Daddies, have been present at the Fox Valley Farmers Markets and a growing number of retail markets in Wisconsin. And they've worked really hard to bring their market into the media buzz. And we're just so thrilled that they're here with us today. The business is also more than a sweet treat. It's also about simplicity, inclusivity, and understanding. Thank you so much for being here today, Yao and Orson. How are you doing today?
Well, pleasure to be here, and we are doing great.
It's a great day in Wisconsin. Thank you.
It is a great day in Wisconsin. And as we are now 3 people here in this spotlight, I will take turns between the 2 of you to ask some questions, and some questions will be general, and you can just pick and how you want to answer them. So Yao, as the founder of the business, can you tell us a little bit about the reasons for founding Gold Coast Candy and Share's Ghana-style brittle?
Absolutely. So this all started out as one day I was just kind of thinking back, and I just missed having Nkati cake, which is a childhood snack of mine that I used to eat back home in Ghana. All right, during recess, we used to buy it from street hawkers, all that. So I was like, maybe I should just go in the kitchen and just try and see if I can make this. But of course, the big question was how. So I called my mother up and asked her, hey, how do you do this? And she actually gave me a recipe book from 1978 that has a whole bunch of foods from Ghana, snacks, full meals, all that. So went to the kitchen, started playing around with it, and started giving it to family and friends initially. And everybody just went crazy about it. So I was like, maybe there's some kind of commercial application here, and decided to see if I could make a business out of this. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty much how this started.
Thanks for sharing that, Yao. And I can really relate, coming from Sweden and not having the foods that I grew up eating. A lot of times you just have to go to yourself and you have to look in that cookbook. But you really took it. You took it to the next step. And then I just wanted to hear from you, Orson, as the business partner of Yao. What are your main focal areas for the business?
Yeah, sure. So I'm really focused on bringing the dream to reality. So as Yao said, it starts with brittle, but it's really about bringing African inspired foods to the market. And so with my operations background, I'm the one really working with Yao to ensure that we can actually deliver on our promise to our customers. We're starting off with brittles, but we have lots more foods that we want to bring, but it's about serving the customer, right? So ensuring that when you're ready to bite into a bag of one of our brittles, it's there for you, whether it's in a store, whether it's at the farmer's market, whether it's online.
Thank you, Orson. And you're already getting some love here from the audience. Kimyata is waving. Linda is saying, happy to watch this. Loves the brittle. Love your food. Love your brittle. And
thank you.
was really interested to hear too, how did the process look like for bringing in a business partner? Yao, could you tell us a little bit more about that, or Orson, from your perspective, to
Yeah,
jump in?
I can go. Yeah, definitely, I can go first on that. So, to me, the most important thing about bringing in a business partner is that you both have to be on the same wavelength. You have to be both passionate enough about what it is that you're into, that both of you can give 120% and keep on firing on all cylinders until you're pretty much both spent. That's the way I take a look at it. Yeah, and so I have certain skill sets. He also has certain skill sets. And like he insinuated earlier, I mean, he's the one pretty much making sure that everything is sort of like going on the straight and narrow, and making sure that wheels aren't falling off. And I'm Mr. Happy-go-lucky, going out there to meet the customers and try and reel them in so that we have that retail presence. So that's pretty much it. You have to be compatible on the same wavelength that way, but also have the complementary skills that will cause the company to function properly. Because I've had some businesses in the past, and if you're both not firing on the same wavelength, it can be a problem. So,
yeah, I mean, to add to that, Yao and I didn't just wake up decide to do a business together. We actually became friends over how long? It's been 9 years now.
9
right?
years, yes, yep.
We were going to movies together, hanging out before the business. And over time, as we had more and more conversation, we just realized that we were on the same path, and it just happened that the friendship just rolled into the business.
Okay. That's really interesting to hear about. And it does really sound like a really wonderful partnership, and that you're really using each other's strengths to move the business forward. And I hear from a lot of business owners who, I mean, that you have to do so much yourself, especially in the beginning, but to have a partner to lean on who has the same vision really can make a really big difference.
We've seen members of our community starting up businesses on their own, and we hear their pain. And I think we consider ourselves lucky to have this friendship that is really part of the foundation of the business, because on our own, I know on my own, I couldn't do this. And I think, Yao, you think the same thing, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, especially in the beginning, before I brought Orson on board, it was like, whew, lots of things to do. So lots of juggling back and forth, and trying to figure things out.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
And you have a question here from Kimyada. Before the start of the Brittle Company, did either have a previous small business experience?
I tried to do a couple different things. I know the something that I had done in the past, it wasn't really official, was I tried to bring these African masks, these wood carving masks from Ghana, and try and sell them here through a gallery, so on and so forth. And I made lots of mistakes here and there, and learned from it. And prior to that, I tried to get into a cell phone business with some other friends, and that's where I learned about having the proper partnerships, so on and so forth. They were actually in Madison. I was here in Appleton, so and there wasn't a lot of communication back and forth, and there were some other things going on in the background as well, and they just kind of fell off the road. But the one thing I will say is this: that each and everything that I've tried to get into has led me to where I am right now, where I'm saying is that you look for the right partnerships, you look for being on the same wavelength, you look for the complementary skills that go towards building a business. So yes, each one has been a stepping stone to where we are right now.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
So both of you, like in terms of feeling supported when you got started, and I think you got started in 2020, right?
2019.
2019. Okay, so a year before the pandemic. Of course, everything is kind of framed around before pandemic, during pandemic, or I was just interested to hear, like, how did informal or formal business support look like for you when you got started? So, I mean, informal can of course be friends, family, having peers to talk to, mentors, or the more formal, like any type of business planning services, any resources, loans, grants. How did that look like when you got started?
So I guess initially it started out with literally, like I said, in 2019 with another partner of ours who I met when we were actually both working retail at Fleet Farm. And so he started out by helping me out by doing some of the initial funding to go ahead and get my first 300 bags of the brittle, right? So and then there was other support from friends and family in terms of just buying the product and then giving me feedback, that kind of stuff, right? Because I was literally doing guerrilla style, like stuff was in my trunk, and if I met somebody who I knew and I was telling them about the business, they were like, "Oh, well, do you have some stuff available?" And they was like, "Oh yeah, I do," and then I would sell it to them that way, and it would give me feedback. And some of them helped me out by buying stuff for Christmas, for gifts and all that. Yeah, and then so that was 2019, and then 2020 is when Orson came aboard, and so we got some further support in terms of going to the farmers markets, and obviously he was there to help out. So was Walt for a little bit, and then but in terms of support from the community, I mean they've always at the farmers markets been real supportive, coming towards us, and just having a conversation with us, trying the product, falling in love with it, spreading the word, that kind of stuff. And then also retail wise, I had my first store that I was in was called the Free Market, which is over here in Appleton. Yes, yeah. And they helped out. I mean, they allowed me to do like tastings over there, so that I was able to go ahead and hand out samples and get feedback that way. And actually, the fact that it doesn't stick to your teeth, the way that popped up one was every single time I handed a sample out, first thing they said was, "Oh, it doesn't stick to my teeth. Doesn't stick to my teeth." And I was like, and that's very interesting because I didn't know that regular peanut brittle or the peanut brittle that you find here had such an impact on people where they didn't like that whole texture and everything, and they would bite into it and it get all sticky and gummy and chewy, and so this was kind of interesting, and so that's where that came from. It wasn't some smart thing that we did just coming up and saying, "Hey, guess what? It doesn't stick to your teeth." This was something that was born from our customers. So
can you say the whole thing, Yao? The
not too sweet.
The little tagline is the not too sweet nutty treat that doesn't stick to your teeth.
There you go. I love that. I love that. I mean, it's hard to forget when you have taglines like that, right? So
yes.
Thank you so much for that. Orson, did you want to add anything to business support that you can think of?
I think the key for us, and this might come, maybe we might talk about it in a little while, right? It's really about having conversations and finding people with whom to have conversations that you can learn from or connect with. As Yao said, we started with the free markets, and in just having conversations. I mean, Yao, you have a great story about Sharon, right?
Oh,
our
yes.
co-packer is phenomenal resource. And through that relationship, she's pointed us in different directions, whether it's, trade shows or new farmers markets or venues, right? It ultimately, I think it comes down to how do you leverage your relationships to help grow the business, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's really the support, whether it's friends and family who, Christmas time, they're buying product or they're spreading the word, or it's your retail customers. We've got customers who have actually referred us, meaning direct customers who've referred stores to us. We secured, we're in the process of securing 2 locations in Milwaukee because a customer from the farmers market said to the store, "You need to carry this product," right? So It's really about relationships that we've built where we're asking people questions or people are having conversations, and through those conversations, we're driving the business. And to me, that's been the biggest source of support in terms of the growth over the last 2 years.
Exactly. And as he was saying, when it comes to our manufacturer, I mean, that was a very interesting situation, because obviously when I was first starting out, I had no clue how I was going to get this stuff made. Not whatsoever, because I tried making it in the kitchen, and let's just say my sugar cooking skills are not that great. So I ended up just making a series of phone calls on and actually even called up I know that I think UW-Madison, they have some department that actually deals with confectionery. I called them, and then they further gave me some other telephone numbers to call as a small as a small manufacturers organization or something like that I called, and they eventually hooked me up with Sharon, and then Sharon from the Sweet Peas Pantry. That she's our manufacturer, and hey, I mean, she was great. She helped me sort of finesse the actual recipe from the book, so that we could cater it to the tastes around here. And yeah, and she's just overall been a great blessing. So she's been phenomenal. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. This is really a recurring theme with everybody that I talk to, is relationship building, being at the center of building a strong business. And it sounds like even in this high-tech age, word of mouth and real relationships are really gonna still be the most important tools for growing your business. And so I think that's just a really interesting observation that I see throughout all these various businesses that we talk to here with at Colorbold. And that, again, you know, we rely so much on social media and other platforms, but if you don't have relationships, then that may fall flat, if you will. Because I also know that you have really sophisticated channels online, like your social media, your website. It's all really nicely laid out. But could you say anything about that in terms of that balance between having really strong presence online, but then also that kind of personal relationship too?
Yeah. Hey, Yao, let me take a stab at that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, so if you think about where Yao started off, right? First store, free market, and then friends and family. We did 300 bags that first year. Second year, it was 15 stores, and we did something like 2,500 bags. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that's huge. And the only reason you've been able to do that is because between farmers market and having those conversations, live conversations, what came through is the personality. People aren't buying the bags of brittle necessarily. They're buying the story behind the bag of brittle. And so the question is, how do you convey that story? Our farmers market experience allowed us to infuse our personality into the bag of brittle. And so now, what do people remember? Yeah, they remember the tagline, but they remember what we call the Yao and Orson show, right? The brittle daddies. Yep. We have a way that we talk about the brittle. And so when you eat this thing, you're like, oh, wow. Guess what? A week later, you're thinking, I had a bag of brittle. Can't remember what it is, but I do remember those two guys, right? Yeah. And so we use that as part of what we convey to customers. And hopefully that comes across in our different channels. But the whole idea is infuse the personality, have a conversation, let something come out of the conversation, which then goes back to, right, I think you mentioned earlier, our values: simplicity, inclusivity, understanding. When we're having a conversation, what we're really trying to show customers and people is that good things, one of the things, good things come out of Africa. That's why we're doing it. We're doing African-inspired product, and we're having conversation about it because we're both products of Africa. I mean, Yao is of African descent, right? Ghanaian, I should say, right? Yep. My wife is from Ghana. I'm from the Caribbean, right? Part of the whole conversation we have is this to show people, you know, this is something different and it's good and you will enjoy it. And so that's what drives us to have those conversations, because we think the message is something that anyone, everyone, regardless of who you are, your political affiliation, your socioeconomic class, it doesn't matter. It's food and you'll enjoy it. And guess what? It's coming out of Africa. So we're trying to change the narrative. We're trying to change how people think about immigrants, African immigrants, and what we can contribute to our communities.
I love that. Kimyada is now putting that in a tagline: good things come out of Africa. I love it. I love it. She's also, well, Kanan or Kay the barber is giving you some love here. Great job, guys.
Kay.
And then Kimyada is asking another question, because she always has questions. Great job, Kimyada. Have you had any negative feedback on your product? If so, how do you handle it and or apply it to your business?
Yeah, you. Woo.
That's a hard one, right?
No, it's not actually. All right, but in all seriousness, yeah, as much as fun as we've had a couple challenges, setbacks, which actually, I think, energizes us even more. The one that comes to mind, we had a former customer of ours who once said to us, "Well, you're not really a Wisconsin company." And we're like, "What are you talking about? We're out of Appleton." He's like, "Well, you're not really a Wisconsin product." We're like, I took it as undertones of, okay, maybe you're not the right customer for us, right? Sure. So, you know, but it just fired us up, because I'm like, all right, there are going to be those times when two guys of color walk into a store and they go, no. And I'm like, that's fine. But we had a great experience with one customer out of Madison. And 3 weeks ago, we did a road show. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get into this store. In half an hour, he'd made a decision. We walked in, he liked our presentation, he loved the story, and he goes, yeah, I'll take it. He bought 3 cases of brittle that day, right? We're not under any illusions that it's an uphill battle. Some people want us, some people don't. And but you know, okay, I won't say that one. We think it's a good product for everyone. So when people say no, 2 people say no, 4 people say yes, and we keep going after it. We keep slogging, right?
Yep.
I think part of the challenge as well, though, is yeah, we're having conversations, but that network, we wish that there was a stronger network of resources that we could tap into. You know, and I think most people have that problem. It's trial and error that you're finding. You're knocking on doors, and if it was a stronger network that could help us avoid making some of the mistakes, I think we could be much further. But that said, We're still grateful for where we are.
That made me write up a note for myself, because Color Bold has an amazing event at the end of June, and it's the pop-up shop, and you can see it on our Facebook. I know you already signed up, so you've been ahead of the game, but the deadline is April 30th, and I just want to make sure that everybody that's watching this signs up, and it's for entrepreneurs of color or it's service organizations in Northeast Wisconsin. It's going to be an amazing event for networking, providing all the information from service providers, and then having opportunities to meet and connect. So that was just one of those, hey, Mia, I should say something, because networking is so important. And it's actually, research shows that without strong networks, the entrepreneur itself is not going to be as successful, and the community is not going to be as successful in building entrepreneurs. So yes, you're saying something that is even research based. So yes, we need to network more, people.
Yep.
Thank you so much for providing all that background. And we have so much more to talk about, and I know we're almost at the 1:30 hour. So I'm just gonna I'm just going to jump a couple questions because I feel like we've touched upon a few things that I was going to ask you. I'm just interested in hearing, like, is there anything particular that you're particularly proud of in your business?
Well, I would just say that I guess from year to year, we've learned how to, I would say, properly service our customers, right? I mean, when you're starting with as one person trying to go ahead and do a whole lot, with the introduction of our with our partners, so on and so forth, it allows you to go ahead and do a lot more thinking, a lot more discussing, a lot more growing in that regard. So again, I mean, remember, in 2019, I started up with one solitary store, and so on and so forth. And then we've grown that to about 20 something or so. Yep, and it may not sound like much, but you know, like I said, with us sort of balancing our regular jobs and this as well, that's been something that we've been able to accomplish. The other thing is just continuously having conversations with our retailers and learning what they like, and so on and so forth. So it's just that continuous growth of being able to go out and service our customers properly, and then also being able to handle the growth of products that we have, right? Because I started up with just a peanut, and now we have the cashew and the pistachio as well, which, by the way, were and these are kind of offshoots, right? We really don't have Inkati cake, which is actually peanut cake, in the form of pistachio, because we don't actually have pistachios in Ghana, not or even cashew. Even though we do have cashew, that particular dessert, as you put it, did not have cashew in mind. But we were like, hey, you know what? We're in the US, let's go ahead and expand our product offerings, and that kind of helped as well. And now again, we're talking about servicing our customers, right? We have a situation where some people cannot eat ground nuts or tree nuts. So we are in the middle of developing a fourth product right now, which is our 3-seed brittle, which is a pumpkin, sunflower, and sesame seed combo. So again, we take a look at that, and we've had some folks say we can't have the nuts, and so we're like, hey, you can try the seeds. So that's what I think that we're at the point right now that I'm kind of the most proud of, that we're able to go and service.
Yeah, let me add to that, right? So on the packaging, you clearly see Ghana style brittle. So one of the things I think we're proud of is the fact that we're not shying away from the fact that it's an African inspired product. One of the questions we keep getting from customers is, well, what makes it Ghana style? We got a whole spiel, but after that, people now leave with this perception after eating this brittle. This is good. That's why we say good things come from Africa. We've been, every conversation, we've been able to, I don't know if to say change hearts and minds, but influence, right? Mm-hmm. So now, if someone sees a Ghanaian product on the store, right, ultimately, or Nigerian, or Zimbabwean, or South African, or whatever, we want people to go, oh, they have a positive perception of an African-based product. That's our mission. That's what if we can do that, if we can get to a point where people now go on a grocery aisle and say, what do I want to eat tonight? Chinese, Syrian, Italian, African, there's no delay, there's no hesitancy, right? If we can do that, oh my God, that would be amazing.
Well, and I have tried your brittle, and it is delicious. So I do appreciate all of the intention you put in and how much positive impact you make with your values, but the brittle in itself is delicious. So I'll just throw that out there to anybody who hasn't tried your product. Now, in terms of the future, because you are really, I mean, in terms of percentage, it must be, I mean, high growth numbers from starting off, like you were saying, with one retail store and now over 20. What is on the horizon for your business if you look out maybe at 5 years or so? Anything you want to share with everybody?
comes back again to the mission. So we believe that we can help create acceptance of African-inspired products in the marketplace, so that it becomes top of mind, right? So we're starting with brittle. We're right now exploring a couple other African-inspired products. For example, there's a product called Chin Chin, which is essentially a fried dough, like a cookie, but in a different format. We're looking at that. We've got a couple of relationships that we're building where there are other products that we're looking to bring to market. So that's that. But then it goes beyond that, right? When you think about how do you get top of mind awareness for African products, it means potentially, how do you support the growth of African groceries? What about restaurants, right? When people taste the food, and this is something this is why Yao and I have such good conversations and we have so much passion. When I first got introduced to Ghanaian foods, I was like, people, you gotta get this thing out. And they're like, well, who will like it? Who will eat it? I'm like, but if you present it in a format that's accessible outside of the community, they will enjoy it, right? And then get them past the question of, well, is it spicy or is it hot? Okay, some of the food is spicy, some is not, right? But it's all about, so we're not necessarily pigeonholing ourselves into a product. It's what is the end goal? Again, the end goal is good things come from Africa, and how do you give the community exposure? So that gives our business model such wide latitude. We could do almost anything. But right now, we're really about manufacturing distribution, but we can take this thing anywhere. And we also believe in being part of the network. So as we talk about Brittle Daddies, right now we're thinking Brittle Daddies is an opportunity for us to highlight other African-inspired products and use what we've learned to share that with other entrepreneurs and help them promote their businesses. So another angle that we're taking, but the sky's the limit, I think, for us in terms of where we can go over the next couple of years.
Thank you. Yao, do you have anything to add to that?
What he said.
Well, it was very comprehensive. So, and I believe it. I believe it. The sky's the limit. You've already achieved so much. Any other words of wisdom before we wrap it up for today?
Yeah, I just we were actually discussing this, and we were like, look, regardless of where you're from, who you are, you have a unique perspective. So what we just say is that if you have an idea, right? If you have an idea, the best thing you can do for yourself is to just put it out there. And you cannot wait for the perfect time or to try and, well, I'm going to try and put this together. I'm going to try and put that together and what do you call it? And then wait for the perfect time. Nope. You just got to go ahead and take step one. Because remember, when I first started out, I had no clue how I was going to get this thing manufactured. I'm trying to figure out where I was going to get my bags, my labels, all that kind of stuff, right? So in addition to getting just taking that first step and getting out there, the other thing is just you got to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to give you help. Now, it may not always, and it's going to be help in different forms, that kind of stuff, right? But that's the most thing is that you put it out there, you ask for help. Some people are going to help you, some people aren't, but you're going to find out that that the people who are going to help you will carry you out quite a bit. And also use whatever resources are out there. Like, for instance, one of the resources that I've used is the Small Business Development Center out of UW Oshkosh, right? They've pointed out us in some good directions, and that's really helped out. And keep on having those conversations with people, and just build that network up. But again, like I said, if you have an idea out there, just get out there and go do it. Other people have done it, and yes, it's always going to be difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, because we always encounter some bottlenecks, but you'll find the help to go ahead and work your way through it. So that's
wonderful. Thank you so much for all of this. This conversation has been so enlightening, and I really appreciate your time. Now, the last but not least question here would be, where do you buy your products? I know your website is pretty comprehensive. Is that a good place to start? if you're anywhere in Wisconsin, to find a good retail location or online ordering? What would work best for buying your products?
Well, yes. I mean, the website actually does, we have an e-commerce component. So yes, you can certainly buy it off there. It's just charesgsb.com. And it also has a listing of our current business partners who are helping us in retail. So you can definitely check that out. But yes, from Door County, Green Bay, Appleton, Neenah, Fournillier, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Madison. We're starting to get some presence out there. And yeah, charesgsb.com is the best place to go check out where our retail partners are.
And then get out for summer farmers markets.
Oh,
Between
yes.
Appleton and Oshkosh, we're in the farmers markets almost every Saturday. And
Yep.
then Wednesdays at the farmers market on Broadway.
In Green Bay.
Twice a month in Green Bay.
Great. So several farmers market in Northeast Wisconsin, and your website, social ways to access your products. Thank you again so much. And I personally look forward to meeting you again on June 26th at Color Bold Business Association's pop-up shop, where there will be a lot of other wonderful entrepreneurs of color that will meet and network and sell products and meet with service providers of Northeast Wisconsin. Thank you so much again for being here with us. And yeah, take care. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yes,
thanks for hosting us.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye.